Hello everyone, and welcome not to Star Trek Wolf A, but to Star Trek Babylon, a Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition game using the rules by Modiphius Entertainment. We are an Anomaly of the Week focused game, so if you like cosmic horror, you like crazy wacky shenanigans with random anomalies that seem like the GM is punishing the players, this may or may not be the game for you. But, as I said, my name is ELH, and I am joined by 4 other amazing players, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, starting with the Eschatologist.
Hello, I am the Eschatologist. I am playing Captain Corin Runa, the fresh-faced Bajoran commanding officer of U.S.S. Babylon.
All right. Up next is that gray guy.
Hello, folks. Gray Guy. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Minetti, Science Officer and Whiz Pilot.
All right. And I swore I would say this correctly this time. Wow, I'm already doing it. Karaticus, what do you got going on?
Hello, my name is Karaticus, and I will be playing the Klingon medical man, Grak, Lieutenant Commander Grak.
All right. And last but not least, Mr. Drew.
Of course, my name is Drew, and I'll be playing Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Rendek, your favorite Ferengi.
All right. And with that, we'll run the intro video and get started with our 2-parter opener. And welcome back. So, as is tradition, and because the players love their momentum, because Chad has already given me 2 extra threat, the players have an opening log, and I believe Lieutenant Commander Rendak, you have the supplemental, so please take it away.
Chief Engineer's Log Supplemental. We successfully launched from Starbase on an emergency mission to assist the Zamboanga. When we arrived, the crew immediately began to suffer from some sort of psionic or telepathic attack. I am fortunate due to the nature of Ferengi's superior lobes that I am unaffected by this attack. This feels most profitable. Unfortunately, due to the interference on the planet, we were unable to beam the individuals from the planet to the ship directly. In the process, the planet stained themselves through their connection to the crew. I am intrigued by the prospect that these celestial bodies are indeed sentient, but unfortunately, the nature of rescue is taking precedence over scientific investigation. We were able to shield the ship and 2 runabouts from the psionic interference, but unfortunately ran into some strange creatures on the surface. After making contact, we were able to rescue a number of the crew, and eventually our runabouts places for a second load. I have been tasked with entering the saucer section and securing the power generators for potential assistance from what's left of the Zamboanga. Hopefully, I won't run anything too unfortunate.
All right. You, of course, may have the momentum for that supplemental log. Now, of course, that log there did get cut off at the end because, as a reminder, we left off with Lieutenant Commander Rendak being attacked by a being of Tangal. And, of course, if you can imagine, Manananggal, I believe is how you say it correctly in Philippine. But it is, quite literally, a hideous upper torso of a humanoid. It's got some entrails sticking out. It's got some huge bat-like wings. And it's got a very long tongue that it just tried to attack you with. Now, luckily, it did miss you. Unfortunately, it did strike the pad that you were using to record your log. But unfortunately, you are now face to face with one of these horrifying creatures, and we get to do a little bit of ground combat here. Now, the way ground combat works is if there's more than multiple players or multiple PCs or multiple allies in the scene, the way it works is the players go first unless I spend threat, then it goes to the enemies, then it goes to the players or allies, and it just bounces back and forth, no real initiative order. However, I'm going to spend 2 threat because I really, really want to ramp up the difficulty here. So, I'm going to spend 2 threat to seize the initiative, and I am going to attempt to attack Rendak once more. Now, what I will tell you is that the Beast of Tangal is shooting for a 11 or lower, so we'll see what happens. Well, that's a 12, and I haven't even expanded the dice, so that is not a good sign. That is a 1 and an 11, which means it will hit you. So, Rendak, this is where we need to start talking about your stress. Now, stress is basically your HP in 2nd edition, but they've made a major change between 1st edition and 2nd edition. And what I mean by that is before, in 1st edition, you used to just kind of have a freebie. Your stress would always just kind of clear at the beginning of every scene. Now, in 2nd edition, you keep that stress until certain conditions are met. And if at any point you go over your stress, you run into being fatigued, but I'll talk about that if we get there. But, Rendak, one thing I actually have to redact is I misspoke. It looks like you already did get hit at least once.
Correct.
So, this is going to hit you again for 3 stress damage. And you do have a choice, and I remember this now. Yes, I remember this now. You have a choice where you can either take 3 more stress of damage, or you can go down. The only problem is that this effect is considered deadly. So if you take the stress, you're not deadly injured, you're still up, you're still fighting. If you go down here, you are considered to be deadly injured, which means if you do not receive medical treatment by the end of the scene, you are not in great living terms, is how I'll put it.
Well, I think I'll take 3 stress.
All right. And narratively, what that looks like is the Beast of Tangal lances out with a proboscis-like tongue and strikes you in the right deltoid, and you can just sort of feel something being slurped away. You don't want to know what, just something. But it is now your turn to run, counterattack, scream, all of the above.
I mean, if I recall, running is a major action, correct? Like
well, that's the thing, in that there are a large number of things you can do in conflict. So, for example, one of the minor tasks you can do is you could move anywhere within medium range. Now, this being is within close range to you, so you could move away from it and then shoot it. You could just spend all of your actions to double move. But no, movement, as long as it's within medium, is just a minor action.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about old Rendak here. He's got a 9 daring and a 1 security. So if you wanted a fight scene, you maybe should have sent, like, anyone else. He knows his limits. Like, it's time to go.
Now, what if I were to tell you that fighting back, as long as you're using your phaser, would actually be control and security at a difficulty of 2?
I mean, that's still only an 11? So, because if I take one more hit, I'm toast. And so, I don't know, like, running away makes the most sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
As the Ferengi character. But if we're just wanting to fight, I can stand and fight, but
well, do what you want to do. The only reason I'm kind of pushing one way or the other is because it's not like in 1st edition where if you lost all of your stress, you were instantly injured. You actually now become what would be known as fatigued. And what happens when you're fatigued is you pick an attribute and you automatically fail any task that uses that attribute, and you add 1 difficulty to other tasks, but it doesn't actually injure you.
Okay. I mean, I guess I can try to fight. I'll move away to medium range, and I have a type 2 phaser, which I assume does pretty good pew pew. So
yeah, it does 4 damage, which significant.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll fight.
Chad also brings up a good point. The riskier the road, the greater the profit. Thank you, Caspian.
Yes, but death is not
White beam,
profitable.
white beam.
But yes, it is a
All right.
control security, difficulty of 2. You have 3 momentum if you wish to use it, or you can give me threat.
I want to spend something because I don't feel good about my roll. Gosh, 2 difficulty. I've got to get 11 or lower. Thoughts, fellow players?
Given where we're at, I'd say 1 momentum and 2 threat for 2 additional dice. Seems like
Okay.
a pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Sounds
That
good to me.
So
So
4
if I
dice.
heard correctly, 2 momentum, 1 threat?
Other way around.
1 momentum, 2 threat.
Got it. Wanted to make sure I heard correctly. Thank you.
Oh, and I have no focus to help me here, so this is just going to be a pure luck roll.
Okay, that is...
Not
I'm
enough.
just in shock. I mean, that's not a complication, but that is
Ah.
still 3 17s in a row. That is... I'm trying to do the
Starting
math on that
strong.
one. 2 17s is 1 in
unlikely.
400, so 3 17s is 1 in 8,000. Did I math that right? Wow.
Listen, I got 3 of a kind. I won, right?
I'll tell you what, I will offer you a success with a complication.
I mean, considering that I really need to either take this thing down and get away or something, I'll take success with a complication, I guess.
All right, so here's the good news. The good news. You pull out your phaser type 2, you phaser the being of Tangal, and were you, I'm assuming, stun?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask is because if you had tried to do it deadly, I would have gotten a threat.
Yeah. I don't think Rendak would, because Starfleet Protocol is one of his focuses. So
Right. But the good news is that because this is a minor NPC, and minor NPCs go down when any stress is inflicted to them, you stun the being of Tangal.
great. I will. Okay, so he's down. I'm immediately looking around to see if anything else is nearby.
Well, here's the complication. The complication is your phaser is going to begin beeping like it's overloading, and you need to deal with that.
Okay, well, I'm an engineer, so surely I can handle an overloaded phaser.
Well, I would hope so. It's still going to be a daring engineering difficulty of 1, though.
Okay, that's fine. I think I can make that. Oh, emergency repairs is the focus, right? Because I'm literally in an emergency repairing a phaser.
Yeah, that would definitely apply. Yeah.
I don't
Can't
think I
help
need
you
to
if you roll
spend
complications, though.
Right. I mean, I don't think I need to spend anything for this if it's a 1. So
All right, we all heard him say it, right? We all heard it.
here we go.
Oh,
Hey!
see, there you
All
go.
right.
There you go. 3 successes.
I'm a good engineer. I'm not a good fighter.
Means you get 2 momentum back, bringing you up to 4 momentum. So, Rendak, you keep your phaser from overloading, and for the moment, you are just kind of in the fusion reactor room of the Zamboanga, or is it the Zamboanga? I think we've said it like 3 different ways. Either way, it's the Z ship that you came here to investigate. And the fusion reactor's thrumming along just fine. But as a reminder, there were a few other interesting items that were in the saucer section, one of which happened to be a trilithium explosive device.
Yes, but we also discussed that may in fact not be the best route. Was that the only thing, the main thing?
I'm checking my notes, that's why I paused. So my notes say that the saucer section of the Zamboanga, the phaser strips are offline, so you couldn't use them to help fight your way out of here. The torpedoes, there is 3 trilithium devices, at least that's what my notes say. There's 3 trilithium devices, there is 1 tricobalt device, and there is, in this room, there is a locker with a Type 3 phaser in it.
Oh, snap. That might come in handy. I'll tap my comm badge and Lieutenant Commander Rendak to Captain Korn.
Or in here, Commander.
I got bad news. The phasers are out of commission. We're not using those for anything. That being said, I did find some unique ordnance here. We've got some tri-cobalt devices and the other thing the Dungeon Master said. Just my brain couldn't remember.
Trilithium device. Would I have been aware of any ships carrying trilithium weapons?
I would say that even with your captain level access, no, this is the kind of thing that starship vessels don't just carry trilithium for shits and giggles.
The hell was Zamboanga doing out here? Good work, Commander. Any problems getting to those power systems?
Yes, I was just accosted by one of those terrible creatures. They are in the ship. We should be concerned with that as well, I suppose.
Then we need to get everyone out of here as quickly as possible.
Agreed.
Is there any sort of like hover thing I can load up these ordinances on to take with me?
A grav skiff? Yes, there is a grav skiff.
I'll load them up and tug them back with me, which obviously feels very Ferengi because I can't just leave this very valuable weaponry behind. And I might I'll grab the Type 3 phaser on my way out too, in case more bad guys show up.
Well, it's a funny thing you say that, because in order to bring a minor NPC into the scene, I just have to spend 1 threat per minor NPC.
Boo, Wendy.
Going to spend 1 because I think 1's all I'm going to need. As you round the corner, it is between the Beast of Tangal, it's between you and Salvation. Captain, if you were to poke your head around the runabout's cockpit, you would see the Beast of Tangal there. But unfortunately, Mr. Rendak, it is in front of you. But, again, players go first in any conflict, so it is technically your turn first.
Okay, and I was allowed to pick up the Type 3 phaser, I assume?
You were.
Which is the rifle, if I'm picturing it right.
That is.
Yes. This thing needs to get blasted. So I guess I'm going to blast it.
All right, well, still control security, difficulty of 2.
Okay, I'm going to spend momentum again. At least 1. And do you guys think I should spend 2 momentum or 2 threat to get another dice so I can shoot this thing?
I would go ahead and add to the threat, but...
Okay, 2 threat, please.
I'm a bit masochistic that way.
Okay, and that'll give me 4 dice. So maybe I won't roll 3 17s this time. Maybe I will. Who knows? Here we go.
Hey! No, you get a whopping 4 successes, meaning you get 2 momentum back, bringing you up to 5. Well done. So yeah, Rendak, you stun the hell out of this thing once more. Well, not more. Is it the same one? Are they all the same ones? Who knows? But you stun the creature all the same, and you can make a running dash for the runabout if you so wish.
Yeah, that's definitely happening. I mean, he should have stood between a Ferengi and his prophet.
All right. So at this point, Corin, as Rendak comes running back onto the runabout, you have gotten the rest of the survivors onto the runabout, and you're free to leave whenever you feel like it.
I'm sorry. I missed something that I thought of earlier and forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Before I run away, would it be possible to do an up-close tricorder scan of the Beast of Tingal so I can take that back to the ship so that, our science officers or the doctor can look at it, yada, yada?
I tell you what, if you give me 2 momentum, we will make that an advantage.
You guys feel good about that? Like having that data to use?
I mean, it certainly could be useful.
Yeah, that could definitely be useful.
Okay. We'll spend the 2 momentum, then I'll take that away. And yes, I'll do a tricorder scan to give to my human companion when I return.
I think he's Klingon, actually.
Well, human and the Klingon.
There you go.
All the ons. All the ons.
All right, well, you get your scan, you get your explosive devices, you get the survivors into the runabout, and I'm assuming you leave. I mean, you could technically stay. I don't know why you would, but I'm assuming you leave.
Once everyone is aboard, we are heading out very carefully as we have much heavier ordnance on board than we expected. Just kind of, sitting in the back there.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So
let's get you some momentum. Well, I say let's get you momentum, and we all know what's going to happen next. Captain, if you could give me a control and a con and a difficulty of 1.
The first assist is free, right?
The first assist is free.
Can I do some engineering to make sure everything stays good in the runabout to help him?
You can do a control engineering.
Yeah. Get that momentum.
And as a reminder, on assist you roll just 1 die, but if you've got a focus, it can certainly apply.
Don't think any of my focuses will apply to this one.
Mm.
All right, well, there's 2, so you're already up to 4 momentum. And no hope from Rendak, but hey, you
Well,
still
not
got
a
1 momentum.
complication.
Yeah, not a complication. Good stuff there. All right, so Captain, as you fly away from the saucer section of the Zamboanga, you sort of look back, or at least the camera looks back, and we see the beings of Tengal swarming over the vessel as the fusion reactors finally give out, and the creatures completely subsume the saucer section. You are not recovering anything more from that saucer section. If anything was left alive down there, it no longer is. However,
Are they just covering it or are they eating it?
yes.
Ooh.
In fact, you know how we were talking about Transformers before the stream? They're kind of like the Insecticons, where they just sort of eat the metal because they can.
That would explain why we're not seeing huge amounts of debris in this system.
Yeah. Indeed. I would like to keep them away from the main ship if we could.
Absolutely. Does save us the trouble of scrapping the salvage remnants.
Indeed.
Corin to Babylon, we are inbound with the remaining survivors from the Zamboanga.
And of course, your spry and peppy Commander Conray replies, "Well, yes, we've already received Lieutenant Commander Grok and Minetti, and they're doing their best in sickbay at the moment as far as I'm aware. How have you fared?"
Well, we picked up the remaining survivors as well as some interesting ordnance Zamboanga was carrying. Have armory teams meet me in the shuttle bay to handle this material.
Now, when you say interesting ordnance, is this the kind of thing that I should have, bomb teams ready for? Or?
Potentially.
Oh, great. I get to roll out the fun things. Lieutenant Commander Citress, get your ass over to Shuttle Bay 2. We see Acacian snap a salute sarcastically and get in a turbo lift.
Would this be a good time to take a breather while we're flying on the shuttle?
That's actually what I was about to bring up, because technically this would count as a breather. Now, breather is a basic form of rest that anyone can do. It only takes a few minutes as long as you're just chilling, you're not doing anything strenuous. And a breather allows you to recover 4 stress damage.
I'm less stressed.
But while you're doing that on the way back to the Babylon, let us go over to our good friend Grok and Minetti, who might be there as well. So Grok, my notes say that you basically had the... how to put this? You had the critical patients as well secured as you could on your quick flight back to the Babylon. At this point, they are in your sick bay, and you are doing your damnedest to keep them alive. However, I am unfortunately sitting at 12 threat, so I'm going to make it a little bit difficult for you. What I mean by that is I'm going to spend 2 threat to actually increase we are being watched to 4 for this. And at this point, what I am going to say is that the we are being watched trait of 4 is now large enough to begin affecting you, even though you had deflector changes. Now, the only people that are going to be immune to this new effect, quote unquote, are anybody that did the psionic neuralization stabilization procedure, which is still a trait in effect for all the command staff, and anyone that is within a protective shield bubble or deflector bubble, like right next to the generator is what I'm getting at. But anyone else on the crew, anyone else you might be treating, they're beginning to feel the effects of We Are Being Watched again. And as a reminder, anytime you're under the effects of We Are Being Watched, you suffer an increased complication range to your insight and reason. But in even better news, since I spent the 2 threat, all of your patients are saying the same thing, even the unconscious ones, Grok. They're all saying the same thing. Do you want to take a guess at what they're saying?
Keep calm.
Good guess, but not quite. What they actually are saying are the same things the being of Tangal were saying. We give ourselves to her, for she will deliver us.
Including the crew?
No,
Of
just the
Zamboanga?
unconscious. Just the unconscious ones you got from the Zamboanga saucer section.
So they're unconscious, but they're still speaking, or they're mumbling, or...
Yes.
Better start sedating them.
Okay. So you start sedating them, and it doesn't matter how strong of a sedative you put in their system, they are still, these patients, these critically injured patients, are just repeating over and over and over again, we give ourselves to her, for she will deliver us.
And I guess we don't have a counselor, do we? Do we have anybody with any sort of counseling training, or anybody on board who has any sort of psionic abilities to hopefully get through?
Psionic
And understand what's
abilities, yes. Currently cognizant and capable of helping you, not so much, because at least my notes say that there may or may not be somebody of a psychic persuasion that may or may not have been throwing a fit when you first came into the system.
Yeah, Betazoid from my office.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can only focus on one thing at a time. What about all the physical difficulties, injuries, so on and so forth? I want those all handled first. Then, if this is a mass effect, then we may have to be looking at something else to address it.
Okay.
But let's to triage first and focus on the physical.
Okay. Oh, hey, chat. Thank you for 2 threat. I just love it when chat gives me threat. So here's what I'm going to tell you, Grok. The difficulty to treat all of these patients, we're just going to do 1 high difficulty roll because I believe in you and I know you can do this. This is going to be a control and a medicine. This is going to be at a difficulty of 4. And the complication range, since you have the stabilization procedure, stays at a 20, at least until I spend some threat. So I'm going to spend 2 threat that I just got to make your complication range in 18 to 20. And yes, you actually have several focuses that apply in both emergency medicine and trauma surgery.
Okay, now might be time for cutting edge medicine.
Yep, that will, of course, lower the difficulty a little bit. How much do you want to lower it?
How much momentum we got to work with? 4, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Let's let's spend 3 momentum. Sorry guys, I'm sucking up the momentum, but keeping the crew alive I think counts. So I'll spend 3 momentum.
Okay. Now, just so that we're all clear, that will increase the complication range to a 16 to 20, just so you know. Does make a difficulty of 1, though.
Understood, yes.
Okay.
So it'll be difficulty 1. And I will give you 1 threat to use bold medicine, which means I can reroll 1d20 and add an extra d20. So by my calculation, that's 3d20 with a focus, complication range 16, and 1 reroll.
I believe.
Remember, golf, not D&D. Oh, no.
Well,
Are you
you
serious?
can reroll 1
I
of
can
them.
reroll 1.
A lot of doubles tonight. I'm noticing a lot of doubles. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Eee.
Yeah.
Yay.
So you have a choice here because that will bring you to 2 momentum. If you give me 2 momentum, we can ignore that complication, that extra one you have.
I will do that.
Okay, so that will bring you back down to 0 momentum, unfortunately. But the good news, Grok, is you are able to treat the physical injuries best you can. You have stabilized the saucer section crew of the Zamboanga, and no one is in any danger of expiring under your watch. However, I will say that another thing happens as you treat the physical injuries and get the people out of death's door, is that as you stabilize patient by patient, they stop saying those words over and over again. In fact, by the time you finish with the last patient from the Zamboanga, your sickbay has become silent. And it's not because that they've died or they've suffered psychic trauma. They have just been sedated by all the sedations you've tried.
And how are my staff at the moment? How are they responding to this?
So your staff, unfortunately, are being affected by we are being watched because it is a strength of 4. So they're beginning to once again report, hey, we're feeling unease. Hey, we're feeling like we're being watched. And you're getting those same reports coming through the rest of the crew as well.
Can I attempt some form of relatively primitive counseling in this case? Some sort of a speech of some sort to try and bring them around?
Yeah. Is this your way of maybe going for positive reinforcement?
Yeah, but I thought that was focused on a player character. But
Technically, it can apply to anyone.
Okay.
It's just that I have to make a note of which character it applies to. But what I'll do here, and I'll put it in chat so everybody can see, what I will do here is if you do positive reinforcement on the Babylon crew itself, and you give me just a little bit of an inspiring speech, I will actually say that any NPC can re-roll their dice under the effects of positive reinforcement.
Okay, I'm going to give that a try. Let me see if I can come up with a impromptu speech here.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all, no. Crew of the Enterprise, this is Lieutenant Commander Grok. Right now, as you know, our captain and several of the other crew are returning from the Zamboanga with many more casualties. Have no fear, we have it under control. At this point, it is up to you to demonstrate your training, discipline, and capabilities in some pressure situations. Let's make it so.
I like it. And I'll overlook that you said Enterprise instead of Babylon. I'm just teasing. You're fine. But that does require a presence medicine at a difficulty of 3.
And again, I will throw you one threat, so I've got that bold medicine. This time, though, it's back to a regular complication range.
Yep, regular complication range of 20. And I'll give you trauma surgery because technically, I mean, you're doing mental trauma surgery. So why not?
All right. Here we go.
Oof.
Oh, come on.
Oof. Well, you can re-roll the 20. Okay. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything I can give you as in terms of a deal here. If you had gotten 2 successes, I could have offered you a success with a complication, but because it's a difficulty of 3 and you only got 1, I think your rousing speech, as much as I enjoyed it as a game master, I think mechanically the crew just isn't feeling it, unfortunately. They're not going to get any worse. They're just not going to have that positive reinforcement benefit, unfortunately.
Understood. He's a little distracted at the moment.
Understandably, I think. Now, before we cut back to the runabout, Minetti, where are you during all of this?
Probably at his station, but trying to piece together this, like, why this ship would have this particular ordinance. Um, and is the captain back in the bridge by now, or is he elsewhere?
He is currently arriving in the runabout.
So he'll hit the comm badge and say, Captain,
Yes, Mr. Minetti.
the only purpose that I could determine for trilithium devices, specifically designed the way that these are, would be to act as some sort of nuclear inhibitor.
As in, to shut down the nuclear fusion within a star?
Pop one in, star goes dark.
Given the serious nature of that sort of weaponry, we'll have to ask some of the Zambonaga's crew if they can shed any further light on it before we make any further decisions. Is there any usage for the tricobalt weaponry that you can think of in our current predicament? Any signs of the source of this signal?
Well, the tricobalt device is bluntly made to cause as much damage as possible in the small package. I can only guess that whatever they came here for originally, they anticipated encountering either heavy resistance or some sort of threat. Now, whether they knew of the phenomenon in the system before coming here or not, we have yet to ascertain.
I want the tricobalt device available to use, but we'll hold off on the trilithium until we have a better idea of what it's actually for.
And if I might interject, it is at this point that coming from behind you is Commander Haria. As a reminder, Haria is the first officer of the Zamboanga, and she just hitched a ride with you, Captain, and Rendak. But she overhears you and kind of pokes her head in and goes, actually, Captain, I might be able to explain some of that a little bit.
I certainly look forward to an explanation.
Very good. Where to begin? Well, I believe I told you that we were, of course, investigating the strange energy readings coming from this system. We were otherwise assaulted out of the blue, but the longer we spent on that moon, the more our tactical officer, to say he went mad would be an understatement, but he kept looking up at the gas giant and cobbling together that tricobalt or the trilithium device and saying, this will fix it. He just kept saying, this will fix it over and over again.
Trouble
Do you
is,
feel-
given the effect that this region is having on people, I'm not sure whose definition of fix we should interpret that with.
Well, you would have to confirm with your own sensors, but we were able to tell that there was some form of an energy siphon from the gas giant, from the star to the gas giant.
Siphoning energy from their star?
Indeed. Though we didn't detect any structure or anything on the gas giant that could be causing this energy siphon. It just, energy was being transferred. That's all we could detect.
Commander, did Were you ever given the names of these planets?
No, we were never told what they were, and she starts to look a little concerned. I do remember, though, that our computers already had the names of the planet. What was it? There was Tengal, and there was, what was the other one? Unglo. Yes, Unglo was the other one.
Which is where your drive section currently is.
Oh, so the secondary hull survived. That's good news.
Well, we don't know. We haven't got down there to look at it yet, but we detected the mass of it.
Well, I mean, Captain, you're in charge of this rescue mission, and I don't think I've got a quote protocol at you, but if anybody is alive on that secondary hull, we need to save them.
That's where we're heading as soon as we drop everyone off on Babylon. We figured that the nature of the environment on Tengal was worth making it our first stop.
Yes, I think had you gone to Unglo first, there wouldn't have been anyone for you to find. For us, I mean, when you came to the second moon. Sorry, I'm still just a little lightheaded and battle fatigued.
And your crew, were they also when on your ship, were they facing the same psychic attack that made them all sort of paranoid?
Yeah, I mean, now that you mention it, it's a little bit less paranoia while I'm on your runabout and on your ship, but it's still there in the back of my mind.
Captain.
We're having this conversation in the runabout on the way up back to the ship?
In the runabout, as your armory officers are carefully handling the trilithium and tricobalt devices.
Okay. Since we already had an open comm channel, Mr. Manetti, are there any other largish rocky bodies in this system? Asteroids, even, maybe a bigger than usual comet?
Would I know that from our previous scans of the system?
You would, but we can do a fresh scan to get you some momentum.
I like momentum.
I will always take that opportunity. I'm real good at scanning.
All right, Mr. Minetti, if you can give me a reason and science. The Babylon will assist you with a sensor science. As a reminder, the Babylon has advanced sensor suites, which means it rolls 2d20 for an assistance rather than just one. And the ship always has a focus.
Yeah, I got it set up and ready.
Now, Minetti, I do have to remind you that since we are being watched is at 4, you are going to suffer the 18 to 20 complication range because it is reason you are using. Actually, no, wait, what am I saying? You have psionic neuralization stabilization procedure.
Oh, yeah, I did get the headpiece.
Yeah, so no, your complication range stays at a 20.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, I will just roll my normal dice, and I will be assisted by the computer. If one of us gets a bad roll, I'll use technical expertise to re-roll.
Okay. Oh, difficulty. It's just the difficulty of 1.
Okay.
All right, well, there's already 2. There's 1 from the ship, so you get 2 momentum back for your trouble. Well done.
Alrighty.
So you scan the system again, and you note that 2 good things, actually. Well, maybe more 1 neutral thing, but at least 1 good thing. The good thing, though, is that you are actually getting a black box signal from the secondary hull of the Zamboanga. And you're not able to establish open comms, but you are able to detect that there are roughly 25 survivors that are down there.
25, you said? Sorry, my audio cut out for a brief moment.
Yes, 25.
So Manetti, in a hurry, slaps himself in the chest and activates the comm badge. Captain, I'm picking up what seems to be some sort of message on the black box band, and what appears to be 25 survivors.
From the star drive?
It appears so.
Excellent. As soon as we're set to go here, we'll head for Ungalo?
Ungal.
Ungal.
Or Unglo, I should say. I can read my own writing.
A beach bungalow? What?
Yeah.
As soon as we're set here, we'll head for Ungalo.
Permission to fly y'all down there, sir.
Well, since it's an M-class world, we may not have to, may not be dealing with such a difficult time using the transporters.
Well, that's kind of the neutral news, and I actually have to spend threat to do this.
Oh no.
So, neutral
There'll be no
news.
transporters.
Well, yeah, neutral news. There will be no transporting on my watch, but there's no comet, there's no asteroid, there's no large body that the captain asked for you to find. There is literally just the gas giant, there's a metallic debris field, which used to be the Zamboanga, there's the 2 moons, and there's the star. That's it.
This is a very strange system.
Yeah.
So I just out of character, I want to recap so I'm making sure I understand right. So we have the sun, the sun, and then we've got a gas giant, and then Tangal and Ungola are orbiting the gas giant.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And the gas giant is siphoning energy from the sun.
Correct.
Okay.
And there are no other bodies of any kind in the system.
Correct. But I'm also going to spend
there's
2
little
threat to
bits
tell
of
you that you need to
duranium
remain
dust.
calm. Sorry, we overtalked each other. You go first, Minetti.
Oh, I was saying there are little bits of duranium dust, but that's about it.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to be enough to block this signal of whatever kind it is.
Mm-hmm. And all I was saying is I just spent 2 threat that, once again, all the computer screens and all of you are told to remain calm. So have fun with that.
Despite what he said last time, the captain is not actually going to punch the computer, since he knows that it doesn't actually say what he thinks it says.
But I do have good news. Chat did give you momentum, so you're up to 3.
Ew,
Hi.
thanks, chat.
Thank you.
Minetti will look at his console and say, "I am calm."
What? Redneck is looking like, what?
But yeah, fast forwarding ahead just a little bit because we are a little bit on a time crunch. Is it still going to be the 4 of you heading down to the secondary hull, or is it just going to be 3 of you, 2 of you? What's the away team look like?
If the doctor is comfortable leaving his patients, I think the same 4 of us makes sense.
Well, Grok, what I will tell you is that that is your judgment call for the moment. All the patients are stabilized, they are heavily sedated, and they're not getting up and wandering. They're not saying really weird things under their breath. They are just chilling in sickbay.
I trust my staff then. They can handle it. It's under control.
All right. In that case, we load up into one of the runabouts once more. And is it Minetti at the helm this time, or is the captain still at the con?
I think we were going to do... You said it's 25, so we'll still need both runabouts, won't we?
I will say that with a little bit of fancy flying, you can get there before life support expires. But you're going to have to do a really good roll if you get my meaning.
Well, the captain is, if it's a control roll, is only looking at a 12 there, so I think Minetti's probably going to edge him a little bit on that.
Yeah, I'm either a 15 or a 16, depending on whether or not I spend momentum.
Oh, okay.
And because I find it funny, he also has a helm operations dedicated focus, which
I
means
sure do.
his crit range is 8 or 10 lower, depending on
Good
if he
Lord.
wants to spend the momentum.
Outstanding.
He does
So, yeah.
2 things. He reads reports and does flight sims.
So it sounds like Minetti's at the helm. Got it.
Yes.
All right. Well, Minetti, as the runabout loads up and starts to fly down towards Unglo. I do need you to give me a control and a con at a difficulty of 2, because even though it's a rainforest world, there's a little bit of atmospheric turbulence, if you get my meaning.
Alrighty. Same complication range, just normal 20.
Yep, normal 20 because you're using control. Also, I keep forgetting you have the stabilization procedure. That's why I put it right there. That's why I remember it.
And I will go ahead and use a momentum if it lets me click it down this time.
It did.
Hallelujah.
Nice. You
That
get
is
that
3
momentum.
successes.
Get that momentum right back. Well done. And yeah, you are able to not only fly down through the atmosphere of Unglo directly to the secondary hull, but what you find is that there is a party already there waiting for you as the runabout begins to land just outside of the shattered secondary hull of the Zamboanga. You see that there is a Cation that is waving at you. And in fact, you all know that Cation. That's Commander Haria.
Isn't Commander Haria the one we picked up?
Yeah. That's it. I was gonna be like, Redneck's like, what's the... Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna make some dumb joke. Redneck's gonna be like, what's the chance she has a twin sister?
That's what I'm about to find out. According to Babylon.
Babylon here.
I don't suppose there's a Commander Haria from the Zamboanga nearby.
She's currently in sickbay undergoing treatment.
Have someone check her record and let me know if she has, say, a twin?
Checking now, sir. No, she's an only child as far as Starfleet is concerned.
Keep Commander Haria under security observation.
I mean, I'm doing that for every member of the Zamboanga we've brought back. I mean, that's just standard procedure, but sure, you know, if you're telling me to do my job, I guess I'll do my job.
Never change, Commander.
Yep, same to you.
I heard what he said, but what I heard was screw off.
I mean, he's a Tellarite. He has to tell you to screw off. That's his job. But yeah, at this point, unless Minetti, you wanted to hover the runabout for whatever reason, the runabout is settled. You haven't opened the hatch yet, but on the other side of that hatch is Commander Haria? Question mark.
Weapons ready, but let's try to keep things calm for the moment.
You want me out there with you guys, Captain, or should I stay in the seat?
For now, stay in the cockpit. I don't know what we're dealing with here, and if we need to get out of here fast, you're the best shot we have at that.
Renek's gonna kind of slink. Renek's gonna slink behind the doctor and kind of nudge him, and be like, "Yeah, you guys are pretty good in a fight, right?"
And once the hatch is open, the captain will step out. His phaser is drawn and in his hand, but he's not like aiming it directly at her.
Okay. And the Cation woman, or Commander Haria, question mark, is going to say, "Oh, thank heavens you're Starfleet. I mean, I knew that from the runabout, but this is great. I mean, I've got 25 with me. Please tell me, I mean, you're going to get us out of here, right?"
We are here to pick up any survivors that happen to be here.
Great.
Can you tell us what happened?
Well, we were investigating the strange energy readings in this system, and then the Zamboanga got hit by an unknown energy lance, and then the secondary hull crashed right behind us, as you can see.
If I may interject, Commander, what were you doing on the secondary hull as opposed to the bridge?
I was currently overseeing some reports on and you can see that she's stumbling over her words deliberately. That's not me as a GM, that's her stumbling over it. I mean, I was just reviewing some reports in the armory. I mean, we were dealing with some very interesting ordnance.
Oh,
What kind of ordnance were you carrying?
Important kinds.
I
my lobes don't like this.
And at this point, if this were D&D, I'd suggest that, or you're probably all yelling at me, insight check, ELH, damn it,
Yeah.
insight check. Anybody who would care to make one, or if you just want to do it as a group for extra momentum, this is going to be an insight and a command for anybody who is not the doctor. Grok, since you are the doctor, if you want to give me an insight in medicine instead, you might learn something a little bit different than everybody else going for insight command. But as a reminder, only one person can make the main roll, and you can only have one source of an assist as free.
I'm willing to give it a go, gentlemen, if you think that's a good plan.
Sounds good to me.
okay.
Sure. We do have to keep in mind, however, with an insight check, it's +4 to the complication range, correct?
Just 2, so it's just 18 to 20.
Well, question: if I make it, is there a complication rating?
If Rendak does it, no, it's just a d20. But somehow Grok would have to communicate to Rendak to use their tricorder on the Cation.
Well, if it wasn't medical, if it was insight command, could I still make a check?
No, that's the thing, is that this is something only the doctor can do, because I'm trying
Okay.
to help him feel special, and that's my job whenever I have a CMO, is to give them something special.
I say he does it then. I mean, if we get complications, we get complications.
All right. Then I will do it.
All right. If it affects your buying of any dice, I will say that this is a difficulty of 2.
Okay, so again, guys, I know I'm throwing a lot of threat back on the table, but my bold medicine gives me an extra die.
Oh, well, there I am once again looking at the traits that are in play. All I'm going to say is that one of the traits that are in play are going to lower the difficulty to a 1.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's insight medicine difficulty 1. I get 3 dice, but the complication range is now at 18, right?
Correct. And you have a focus. I'm not going to tell you which focus, but you have a focus.
Xenobiology?
My lips are sealed.
Oh no! Ominous.
Yeah, really. I don't think this is not a Bajoran cation. So, all right. So I have focus, 18 complication, 3 dice, and I get to re-roll 1. And you got 1 threat, right? So
Yep. I'll re-roll that 18.
That's insane. My dice have been absolutely brutal so far tonight.
They really have. There you go. Turning that complication to 2
There you go.
successes. So you're up to 5 momentum. Well done. And
Can the captain assist? Oh, I guess there's no assist necessary.
no assist necessary unless you want to shoot for momentum, though just keep in mind you are being affected by the complication field, so...
I think I'll hold off for now.
Okay. So, Grok, the reason I reminded myself about the trait is because a little Ferengi, or maybe not so little, a Ferengi did a creature scan of the Beast of Tangal. And it's not the exact same signature you're getting off of the Cation that claims to be Commander Haria, but it's pretty dang close. And in fact, you're getting that same reading from 13 of the 25 survivors.
Okay, I need to talk to the captain a little bit privately because I certainly don't want them to realize that we're onto them. So, Rendak, can you help these find the casualties and get things organized?
Indeed, Doctor. I will have a word with the commander here.
Minetti, help Rendak, please.
Will do, sir.
I'd prefer Minetti stay with the ship.
As you wish, Captain. Captain, can we just have a moment?
Of course.
We have a big problem. I believe that, what did you say, 13? Sorry, it was 13 of them?
13 out of the 25, meaning if your tricorder's correct, there's only actually 12 quote-unquote real survivors of the Zamboanga. And Commander Haria ain't one of them.
Yeah. Captain, and I'll explain exactly that to the captain.
The readings suggest it's the same creatures that we encountered on Tangal.
The readings are almost identical.
All right. Mr. Rendak, could I speak with you for a moment?
Yes, of course. I'll be right back, Commander. What's up, Captain?
Can you take me to your casualties? Do you have any casualties?
Yeah, they're just over here. And Commander Haria begins showing you to a small tent they've set up with some casualties inside.
That psychic leaf blower trick we played on Tangal. Remember how you did that?
Yes.
Is there anything around here that we could use to replicate that without taking the runabout back up?
It would be difficult, to be honest, Captain. And
Any equipment from the Zamboanga itself?
Perhaps. Can I ask why?
Because almost half of these people aren't who they say they are.
I had a thought, Captain, because my gut told me that might be the case. If we've not been able to communicate this entire time, and now we're able to, wouldn't this kind of be a first contact situation, sir? Because we don't know the species, and, well, in this form anyway, they seem to be able to communicate, even if they're not telling the truth. And I don't know. I'm not. Before
this
we
is
do
an
anything,
opportunity for first contact, but our first priority is that we have injured people and a species that has already demonstrated hostile intent. Until
True.
we can deal with them a little more safely, I'd prefer not to take any unnecessary risks. At least not while we've got wounded impact survivors.
Technically, unless over the board, pause for a second, out of character. Unless we change something, the runabout should still be configured the way Rendak had it configured when we went to the first planet.
That is correct. It still has the psychic leaf blower, as I gleefully noted in my notes.
Yeah. So Rendak's like, well, I mean, the shuttle still has the configuration, so it could be used. We should be careful, I think. Because if they get hit with that and they spaz out and start slashing, I can tell you from my own injury, it's not great.
We need to... I was hoping to be subtle as a way of trying to separate the imposters from the genuine crew members. But if that is also going to be a risk, we may need to just bite the bullet and tip our hand a bit.
Well, we could always have the runabout on standby in case of emergency situation, but maybe try to, I don't know, like you said, work it out some.
Agreed. This is kind of an out of character. Well, I guess no. He might ask his engineer. Is there any way that you could modify, say, a phaser or phaser rifle to emit the sort of field that we need?
It'll take some time, but I might be able to do it. Yeah.
That would at least give us a little more fine-tuned control over who we're hitting with our psychic leaf blower.
I might have to take some parts from said leaf.
See if Menetti can help you.
Of course,
Seems like the sort of thing might be up his field.
I'll get to work on it. If you need backup, just holler for us.
Will do.
And Rendak will head back into the shuttle.
Okay. We will get to you in a moment, but I do want to give Grok a little bit more info. So, Grok, as you are looking over the casualties, you actually can confirm that the injured are real. The 4 that are in this tent are real. They are not, quote-unquote, fake. But one thing that you're noticing, since, again, you succeeded with 3 earlier, is that all of the real survivors are of lower rank. And when I say lower rank, I mean like ensign or enlisted. Anyone higher than that, your tricorder says is fake.
Are there any else amongst them that are identical to the other crew? Like, are there any other officers that are duplicates of the other crew?
Well, now that you've asked the question, yes. There are, 12 duplicates, including 13 duplicates, including Commander Haria.
So they're identical to the. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them physically if I looked at them.
Physically, no difference. Tricorder, your tricorder tells you the truth. It also tells you to remain calm, so do with that what you will.
All right. Well, yes. That is one of my values. With proper discipline, anything is possible. I'll remain calm. Okay, so I'm going to focus right now. I have to focus on making sure that the injured are no more seriously injured than necessary and get them onto the shuttle first safely.
Okay. Well, the good news, actually, is that unlike the saucer section, which was undergoing massive attacks by beings from beyond, the worst you really have to deal with is like a dislocated elbow, a popped out broken spine, not spine. What's that bone? It's your forearm bone. What is that bone called? Case in point, there's some broken arms, there's a dislocated elbow or two, there's some minor concussions, but compared to what you dealt with the saucer survivors, this is nothing. You can treat this in your sleep.
Okay, so is there a roll required, or otherwise I'm just spending some time doing it?
That is up to you. If you wish to make a attempt at the roll, you certainly can go for momentum, or if you'd rather just succeed and not tempt fate, we can also do it that way.
So it's a difficulty 0?
Difficulty of 0, control, and medicine.
I will give it a go.
Okay.
Although I won't throw any extra dice into it this time. So I'll just give it to. The complication range is 20 because it's not insight or reason, correct?
Correct.
And I do have emergency medicine, so there's a focus.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
There we
one
go.
momentum, bringing you up to cap of 6. Yeah, you treat everything just fine, Grok, and you are able to move the injured into the shuttle, which is where we will cut over to Rendak and Minetti. So Rendak, you come in to the runabout, and what is it you say to Minetti? Because I'm curious.
Minetti, we've got an issue. We've got a situation. The commander's not the commander. It's those creatures we face on the other planet. Though I gotta admit, I'm confounded that on the other planet they attacked, but here they're not attacking, and that intrigues me. That being said, the captain has issued a command. I need to turn a Type 2 phaser into a psychic device, like I did for the runabout. It's gonna take some time and maybe a extra set of steady hands if you got them.
Yeah, it seems like an intriguing prospect. I haven't quite worked with miniaturizing technology before. Usually I'm taking things on a macro scale, but I'll do what I can.
Yeah, it's the same thing in reverse. You'll be fine.
All right. So this is going to be a daring engineering. This will be a difficulty of 3.
Okay.
And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Difficulty of 3, daring engineering.
Okay. I am going to buy one more dice, at least.
Okay.
I don't guess I'm not fixing it, but I'm working on it. Would emergency repairs, considering the pressure of the situation, count?
It's a stretch. Do you have another focus, maybe?
No, because they're all like warp core mechanics, system maintenance, diagnostics, things like that. So I don't think so.
Yeah,
It
I
was
don't
worth a
think so,
shot.
unfortunately. But maybe Manetti has one. Let's look at Manetti's focuses.
Yeah, system.
I got all kinds of weird space focuses.
I will say that if Manetti, but Manetti has an engineering of 1, so it doesn't matter.
But did the reading, so I could spend momentum and use science instead.
This is true. You would have a crit range of 5 because exotic particles would apply as a focus for Manetti.
Well, do I still have to do the main roll or?
Well, that you get to decide. And I'll take back that. Give yourself back the momentum. So I suppose Manetti, if you do it, you're still doing a daring engineering, but I guess you'll did the reading and do daring and science instead.
Yeah, that would give me a 13.
Do that and then buy an additional dice, and then use your focus if you have one, and then I'll assist you. And they'll have 4 dice with you having a focus. I think we can get it.
What's the difficulty?
Just
3.
a 3.
Should I use a determination? I have a determination that is applicable. Every puzzle has a solution.
Oh, chat just gave me threat. Thank you, chat.
Oh no, why'd you do that, chat?
I mean, it's up to you. If you want to use your, you can. If we just want to roll it, we can. I mean, worst case scenario, we don't succeed and it adds to the drama.
That or you spend determination after the roll. Oh, I should have said that earlier. My apologies. You can spend determination after the roll to re-roll. I completely forgot about that. That's my bad.
Well, then I will save it for a re-roll.
That is my bad. It just completely slipped my mind in the heat of the moment.
Could the runabout assist in some fashion? It like taking parts from the original modification?
Oh no.
Well, first thing, that's 0 successes, so the assists don't matter.
That 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say reroll that 20.
We would still have to spend a momentum
as a solution for that.
Yep. And what I will tell you is that it's not just the 20 you can reroll with determination, it's the entire pool, but you have to keep the reroll dice.
Oh, okay. I mean, I got all fails, so I got not much to lose.
I mean, surely you can't roll another 20. That's 1 in 400 odds. Oh my god, that's 2 20s. What am I saying?
Why'd you have to say that?
What? Okay, I know our ship has the anomaly magnet trait, but I'm sure there is a complication magnet trait that we just haven't seen.
Oh no!
I'm just stunned. I mean, I know, Gray Matter went back and checked that we didn't beat Peter's, metric of 16 some odd complications in one session, but this is getting a little ridiculous, guys. Just a little bit. Well, okay. Well, Rendak, if you want to assist, I am going to need a double success here, so you're going to have to roll a 1 here. Otherwise, we have 3 complications on the field.
I counted. We have 7 complications so far.
Nice.
Okay. Sure. I mean, I guess it couldn't hurt. Roll and hope. 1. I get 1 d20 for this, and it's got to be a 1.
It's an 18, unfortunately.
It's a 0.
And we have to be, because we determination those double 20s, we have to keep them. So here's what happens: is Manetti and Rendak
starts crying. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, first your computer tells you to remain calm, so there's that. The second thing, of course, crying is a free action, so if you want to cry, that's a free action. But what happens is, as you are modifying the handheld phaser weapon to be a psychic leaf blower, you accidentally kick on said psychic leaf blower in the direction of the survivors. That's complication number 1. Complication number 2 is going to be that those very same survivors are going to begin shrieking in a way that chills you to your bones. And before your very eyes, they begin to mutate and shift their forms. Where, they were Caitians, humans, Tellarites, Vulcans, etc., etc. Now they are looking more like tall, bony, humanoid creatures with the head and hooves of a horse and really, really, really long limbs. It's actually kind of disturbing. And for anybody who hasn't picked up the theme of this adventure, this is another Philippine folklore creature, which I hope I'm saying correctly. It's a tikbalang, if I'm saying that correctly. I might not be. My apologies if not. But these creatures shriek in, again, bone-chilling fashion, and they don't actually attack your crew. In fact, all 13 of them, continuing to shriek, run off into the rainforest.
Ooh.
Didn't you build this thing with an off switch?
Of course I did.
Then,
Guess I'll turn it off.
as they start running away, if the doctor is available, I basically just grab him and I'm like, help me get everyone who's not one of those things onto the runabout.
I will do exactly that because I can I've identified them already, right?
Correct.
I understand.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So, I will assure that the captain also knows who's who.
All right. So
What happened, gentlemen?
A minor technical snafu, one could say. That being said, they're gone.
They are gone. A win is a win. I just hope this is a win.
All right.
All right.
So, is there anything else you wish to do on Unglo before returning to your ship?
How far away is the drive section?
It's within walking distance. It's like right over there in the crashed sort of trough that the secondary hull carved in the rainforest.
Oh, the temptation to want to get like the black box or like try to recover the engineering guy's log from engineering is very high, but I assume we need to just get going. This place is nuts.
I could try and locate where the black box is within the wreck. Narrow your search.
Well, last time we looked for it, we didn't find it on the saucer section, even though it was going off. And so part of me thinks it just doesn't exist.
That is also quite likely with the things that have been happening.
In the words of Admiral Akbar, it's a crap. I mean, that's up to the captain. I think Rendak would express interest in knowing what happened to the ships for the sake of study. But if it's too much of an emergency situation, he's also cool with just getting the hell out of here. Because this place sucks.
For those purposes, I think that having the crew members available to tell us what happened would probably be sufficient. Actually, I have a question for the GM. As far as Starfleet protocols go, what would be the protocol for a shipwreck like this? Like, I know we can't just leave this lying here for prime directive reasons, but are we required to like destroy it from orbit? How does that complicated by the fact that there are living creatures down here that know about it already?
I'm going to say you are firmly in gray territory. It's one of those things where you really should be destroying it, but if you destroy it, you could hurt people in the process, and these things might be hostile, and therefore hurting them isn't a problem. You're very much in a gray area right now, so do with that as you will. If it helps, I will also point out you do have a tri-cobalt device.
Well, that was the thing. Can we see like how close they are currently to the wreckage? Are they in the wreckage, or have they fled away from it entirely?
Oh, the creatures that revealed themselves, they have all completely just ran off into the rainforest. There are no more of these creatures anywhere that you can see. And in fact, if you pull out a tricorder, as far as your tricorder can tell, there are no life signs within the secondary hall.
Okay. Oh, there's a warp core in that thing. So if we start just, hit it with a couple photons from orbit, like, they could not possibly have run far enough away. We'll figure that out when we get back to the ship. I will consult with the senior officers rather than just try to make some executive decision there.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll head back to the ship, and I would have preferred to try to talk to them, but since I'm the one who told them to try to work on the weapon idea, I can't complain about that.
No, I mean, double complications will do that to you. All right, we do the 70s cartoon, and you're back on the Babylon. Congratulations. All of the Zamboanga crew are available to question if you need them, but it sounds like you need to have a classic Star Trek senior officers meeting. So, Captain, Lieutenant Commanders, you are in the main conference room on Deck 1. Your lovable Tellarite is there as well. And you also have your Cation Armory Officer, Lieutenant Commander Stess.
Should we invite the commander from the Zamboanga?
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, Commander Haria is also there.
Manetti will go around passing out pads to people.
Thank you for joining us, Commander Haria. I know you're probably in need of a great deal of rest after what you've been through, but we could definitely use your insight on what's happened here.
I mean, I'd be happy to help. I find it a little troubling that there was one of these creatures pretending to be me. I don't know why, but I mean, I can only think that they were trying to get aboard our ship, but for what purpose? I hesitate to think why.
Well, that's something we'd like to figure out. Something in this system that appears to be emanating from the gas giant is psionically affecting almost all sentient beings. Mr. Rendak appears to be unaffected due to the unique structure of the Ferengi brain, but everyone else on the crew is affected pretty badly, and telepathic members of the crew seem to be affected worse. Did you observe similar patterns when Zamboanga entered the system?
Yeah, we wrote it off as paranoia at first, or just nerves, simply because, this area of space is like the old Terran Bermuda Triangle, to use an expression, but no, we just sort of wrote it off at the time, and we were just doing our best to figure out, if this was just nerves or the cause, and like I said, I mean, we got hit by that energy lance before we could really determine anything that was going on in the system.
Did you happen to observe where the energy lance came from specifically?
And Haria points out at the gas giant.
Commander Haria, did the lance come before or after your security officer or tactical officer prepared the trilithium device?
Before. He only started preparing the trilithium once we were crashed on that demon-class moon.
Interesting.
Have we picked up any unusual readings from the gas giant itself? Anything that would indicate an installation, a power source, life?
Well, I mean, at this point, Manetti's scanned, 6 ways to Sunday, so unless Manetti's a complete idiot, which I'm not putting out there as, a definite not thing that could happen, but assuming Manetti's not a complete idiot, I think we can safely say that there is no installation, there is nothing that would, A, be siphoning the power from the sun, or producing this energy weapon. Also, Menetti, you might be an idiot. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Thank you, sir.
You're quite welcome. Keeps you on your toes.
Commander Minetti has acquitted himself very capably during this mission.
I look forward to reading the reports.
As have all my officers. I just want to put that out there. My quandary here is that from where I'm sitting, from what I know, a trilithium weapon is basically a doomsday device. And I need something a lot more substantial than the ravings of an unsettled mind before I start firing it into anything, much less a strange planet.
Well, you've said the magic words because I'm going to spend 8 threat, 2 for every player.
The Borg cube. No.
No, that's 13 threat.
Oh.
Out of nowhere, and Rendak, you hear the laughter too. Out of nowhere, laughter fills the air. But not with the joviality of like, oh, we rolled another 20, guys, or, haha, yes, we did it, we got 5 successes. No, this is an unsettling, mocking resonance that's piercing through shields, armor, bulkheads, and again, even Rendak's hearing it. And you realize in this moment what's going on. You realize this as you look at the gas giant. She is alive in a sense that defies your understanding of cosmic phenomena. And now she has turned her attention to you. And as the laughter continues, all of the consoles, all of the pads, all of them now display in big, bold red letters, "You may now panic." But hey, chat just gave you momentum, so, you know.
Do I have time to squawk something over the comm badge?
You do.
Ready to helm, evasive maneuvers. Because I'm expecting one of those energy lances any minute now.
And yeah, not a moment too soon, because there is an energy lance that barely misses the Babylon that fires out from what you were assuming was a polar sort of ice cap of the planet. No, that's an eye.
Permission to head to the bridge, take the helm, sir.
Agreed. We'll join you. And as we stride back out onto the bridge, I have no idea if this will be of any use, but open a channel to this thing.
Okay. Comm officer reports a channel open, sir.
This is Captain Corin Runa of the Federation starship Babylon. Please identify yourself. We'd just like to talk.
And there's a bit of maniacal laughter, which I would do normally, but my throat's kind of killing me. So just imagine maniacal laughter here, like a classic big bad evil guy just doing a good cackle. But once the laughter subsides, she says, "I am here for the star. Once I am done with the star, I will proceed to the next one, and the next one, until all of your galaxy is mine. You cannot stop me. There is nothing you can do to stop me."
Actually, I think there is a difference of opinion on that, but I'd hate to have to go that route. You do realize that our galaxy contains over 400 billion stars.
All of them delectable feasts for my power.
You must be very hungry. Yes, Mr. Rendak. Sorry.
With all due respect, sir, in regard to my earlier statements about Starfleet protocol, fuck it.
That's the GM laughing.
Duly noted. What's the... Sates.
Yes, sir.
The Zamboanga's special ordnance ready for deployment, if you would, please.
Just tell me to push the button, sir.
Will do. Do you have a name? He says, sort of addressing the the voice.
Not in the sense that you mortal beings have a name. In fact, my true name cannot be even comprehended by you lesser mortals.
I see. I don't suppose there's anything we could possibly do to get you to just devour this star and leave it at that?
No. No, you're under the impression that your little Starfleet protocol, your little acts of diplomacy and the little acts of persuasion, they don't work on me.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. You sound like a fascinating life form, and it truly would be an honor to study a being as vast and incomprehensible as you seem to be. But if you insist that you are leaving us no other choice, well, I know my duty.
It's at this point that a lance is going to shoot out at the Babylon once more.
No.
Now, Minetti, you're at the helm, so there is something you can do about that. So, Mr.
Sure
Minetti,
try.
I need you to give me a daring and a con. The ship will assist you with a structure con. And because this is sort of the penultimate roll of the session, I'm going to dump 3 threat to make this a difficulty of 4. Hey, but good news, I don't have any more threat. So, we got that going for us. But yeah, no pressure, Minetti.
Oh, I just realized I was having mic issues. Sorry about that.
You're good.
I am going to give you some threat back.
Okay, how much?
2.
Okay.
To get that extra die. And then I will also spend momentum. And I will additionally activate Did the Reading again, which will cost 2 momentum this time. So, unfortunately, I'm spending a lot of momentum. I hope to get some back. But we kind of don't want to get hit with this.
Yeah, we don't want to be the Zamboanga, please.
Yeah, this is all out.
So just to be sure that you are rolling 5 dice here, yes?
4 dice, and then switching from con to science.
Okay, so you would have 2 momentum remaining. Got it.
Oh no, it costs 2 momentum since this is the second time I've activated it.
You would be at 1 momentum.
Yeah. Thank goodness for dedicated focuses.
Mm-hmm.
And what is my complication range?
Your complication range is at a 20, but you know what? You just gave me 2 threat. I'm going to throw it back in your face, 18 to 20.
Okay.
Dang it. I believe.
Minetti takes a deep breath and cracks his neck, and then goes to tapping at his con like it's a piano.
Well, there's your 4. No help from the Babylon, but you got your 4. So, Minetti, you get the Babylon moving again just in the nick of time as another red lance shoots out of the eye of this creature. And I think at this point, Sates is going to look at the captain very pointedly and say, "Sir, can I push the button?"
Push the button, Sates.
Hammering the button, and she literally does, almost comically, fist and slams it on the LCAR screen. And as the LCARs are still displaying the words, "You may now panic, etc., a trilithium torpedo, 3 of them in fact, fly out from the rear launcher of the Babylon towards the star in the system. Now, there is one modification that I was going to mention earlier, but it was in roleplay, so I didn't want to interrupt. Unless DS9 lied to us, when you trilithium a star, it's not just a fusion inhibitor, it's a supernova causer. So...
yeah, it doesn't go out quietly.
Yeah, you might want to start warping away if you get my meaning.
Oh, this is my time to shine.
Rendak, get me warp as soon as you can, please.
It's
Easy,
out of here.
buddy.
Maximum available warp. Engage.
Here it is. The ultimate roll of the session. It's a control and a con. It's a difficulty of 1, and it's assisted by the Engines Con. It does require reserve power.
Well, we have plenty of power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't
And
roll
is this
complication on
a
this.
helm operations roll?
Yes, this is definitely helm operations.
Okay.
There you go.
4
All right.
successes.
All right, engines. Okay, not a complication. So you get a momentum back. You start going like a bat out of hell away from the system, and as you run, the creature just sort of laughs because it doesn't know that you launched a trilithium device. But eventually, your sensors detect that the trilithium devices have hit the sun. They begin to turn the star into a supernova. And then instead of that maniacal laughter that was piercing your minds, it now turns into a shriek of disgust, of anger, of every other negative feeling you can think of. And then after about a minute of that, the system is gone. The gas giant is gone. The moons are gone. All of it wiped away from the supernova. The creature is gone. And in fact, the "you are being watched" trait, gone. Every single sensor scan, every single psychic effect, all of it gone.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about blowing up the wreckage, Cap.
Indeed.
No,
I
it seems it was rather thorough.
just regret having had to do it at all. Especially then there were life forms on both those moons that, while dangerous, I don't think deserved the end they just received. Commander, you have the bridge. I'll be in my ready room, preparing my
course.
report for Starfleet.
And as a little bit of an ending scene, remind me, Minetti, did we ever name your Betazoid friend?
I think we gave him like a generic name, but I forget which one it was. It was Bob or Frank or something like that.
Frank, I think.
Frank. Okay. Yeah, let me actually make this in my notes so I remember to do it. Make Betazoid Frank. Okay, it's in my notes. We see Frank. He's getting checked out in sickbay with Grok. And Grok, he seems to check out. He's no longer freaking out. He no longer has her bombarding his mind, so he's a little bit more calm. But it's as you're scanning him, Frank's eyes widen and he grabs your shoulder and he says, Doctor, I need to know, is she gone?
Yes, she is. She's gone.
Okay. That's good, because everything that I could tell about her, it was beyond us. I don't say that lightly. Like, I don't say like, oh, beyond our understanding or beyond our knowing. I mean, quite literally, this was like trying to understand a Q. She might have even been beyond a Q. I'm not really sure, but you're sure she's gone?
Everything points to her being gone.
Okay. Do we have a counselor yet? I feel like we should have a counselor.
We should. I've asked for one.
Well, maybe they'll be here next Tuesday. And as we leave the sickbay of the Babylon behind, we see the Babylon at warp through space. And that's where we end today's session. Well done overall.
I'm
So yeah,
glad
what'd you
I
guys?
was able to pull some successes.
Yeah, right there at the end where it mattered. But yeah, what did you all think? This was, for anybody curious at home, this was the adventure I actually wrote for 2nd edition. This is It Laughs at Us. It is the, I think, actually first community-made 2nd edition adventure that was ever made. But yeah, what did you all think? Even if you hated it, what did you all think?
I liked it. It was fun.
I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Appropriately scary in all
Yes.
ways.
The references to cosmic horror were accurate.
Mm.
It was a good challenge all around.
Yeah. Because what I would say is that I do have to shout out Jet Freak 7, because this was an idea that Jet Freak 7 did as just kind of like a render, where he kind of put just a gas giant, very same, the gas giant you saw in the intro. So now you know the context of the gas giant in the intro. But he basically just made a render, and he started, talking a little bit about the crew feeling a bit of unease. And I was like, you know what? This could be a really good adventure. So I messaged Jet Freak 7. I was like, hey, can I use your art for cover art? Can I use your ideas in adventure? And we got to talking, and that's what led to this adventure being produced. So big shout out to Jet Freak 7 for the initial idea seed. And yeah, again, if you want to play this adventure yourself for your own group, you can get it on Continuing Mission. And if future me remembers, I'll put it in the description of the video. But yeah, the only other thing I'll say before we sign off for the evening is that if you use determination at any point, if you used a value at any point during this mission, make a note of it, because you are able to modify your character sheet. And we'll talk a little bit off stream about that. But I just want you all to know that you should be keeping track of when you spend determination and which values you use, because that's how you advance as a character. But yeah, with that, YouTube, we are going to say goodbye. Twitch, stick around, but YouTube, we'll see you later. Bye-bye, YouTube.